In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I work for 6 to 8 hours uninterrupted every single day. Now, let me get this out of the way in the very beginning. If you are somebody who's immediately like, that's impossible, or no, I can't do that, then this video is not for you. This is going to be for world-class performers or people that want to do that, because I do it and I know dozens of other people that do the exact same thing, because simply put, they shut the fuck up and they get the work done. If you're creating a million excuses before you even watch this video about why you can't do that and why it's not good, blah, 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 then just skip and get out of this video right now. If you're still with me, welcome. My name is Ravi Abuvala, founder of Scaling with Systems, where we build profitable client acquisition systems for our clients. In the past few years, in my 20s, I've generated millions and millions of dollars online, and one of the main reasons I've been able to do that is because of my insane work ethic. And I'm not talking about I'm the greatest person in the world. I actually really have no innate talents or abilities. I didn't go to business school or anything, but what I was able to do is do much more focused and important work, which I'll talk about here in a moment, than any of my competitors, anybody else around. And that has allowed me to achieve the things that I've done at such a young age. So I'm going to break down this video into two simple parts. The first part, I'm going to talk about why I sit down and work the way that I do, some of the studies and tests that I've done myself. And then the second part of it is going to be how I physically do it. Like, how do I structure my day? How do I set up my apps? How do I set up my computer in order to make sure I'm being as efficient as possible? So first, let's talk about why you should sit down and work in blocks of 6 to 8 hours at a time versus the Pomodoro or Pomodini method, which is like every 20 minutes, or maybe it's every 2 hours or every 6 hours or whatever else that people have out there. The reason that I specifically choose 6 to 8 hours is very, very simple. It's because in my experience, the people that achieve greatness in this world, like I said, world-class performers, the one thing they do above everybody else is they simply put in more work. They don't necessarily just work harder, and it's not like they're working smarter. It's that they're working harder and smarter at the same time. So you've heard the cheesy line, everyone has the same 24 hours in the day. And it's true though, right? Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, Tom Brady, all of the most incredible athletes and people in our time, they all have the same 24 hours that you and I do. But it's how they're spending that time that makes it different. And most people are spending their time on so much garbage stuff that there's not even giving themselves a chance to achieve everything that they want to. So if you and I both know that everything we've ever wanted out of this world comes from simply working hard and working smart, then my goal would be to do that as effectively and as much as possible. So that is why I simply sit down and do the 6 to 8 hour task, because I just want to get ahead of everybody else and get the stuff done. In addition to that, doing task switching where every 20 minutes you're doing something else, or every 30 minutes or every hour, what people don't realize is the cost of task switching. So if you actually do look up some research online and some of the studies, it's pretty simple. When you are switching between tasks, meaning that at this moment you're working, and then now I'm going to get up and go make some coffee, or I'm going to go make lunch, or I'm going to go to the bathroom, there is a opportunity cost of that time that's lost switching between. So you have to push out from the chair, your mind detaches from what you were just engrossed inside of, you have to go to the bathroom, you go make the cup of coffee, you wait for it. So up to 20 to 40% of your productive hours of the day are lost to what's known as task switching. So just doing different things. So instead, if you know that you're losing all this time, it's like an energy drain to switching tasks. If you can sit down for 6 to 8 hours straight and just do that one task, then you will 100% guaranteed get it done and be able to move on to the next thing in your life. Also, if we move all the studies and all the tests and all the scientific evidence behind about why it's important to sit down and focus just for 6 to 8 hours without doing anything else, I'll just tell you my own personal experience. So I travel quite a bit in my life, and it is almost always guaranteed that when I am traveling, I am less productive than when I'm at my desk and at my office. And that's because when I'm traveling, I'm in a new environment. And so I don't have everything set up, like I'm going to talk about here on the second part of this video, to be as effective as possible. So there's distractions that hit me, my brain's on thinking about multiple different things. So my output is so much lower. So even in myself, when I'm testing myself out, I love just like keeping my life as boring as possible and working from home in the most effective way possible. Because when I do that, my output is literally 3 to 10 times what the same amount of input of hours are when I'm traveling or I'm doing something else. Okay, so you're still with me right now, and you actually do believe that it could be beneficial for you just to sit down and and work for 6 to 8 hours uninterrupted, let me talk about how I physically do it. The first thing you do is what I call cut the bullshit. So what do I mean by cut the bullshit? I mean that the majority of people, when they try to sit down and they work for 6 hours or 8 hours, I'd say less than 1 hour of that time is actually spent on what I like to call needle moving activities. And the majority of the time is spent on stuff that doesn't actually matter. So then they think like, hey, I'm working hard because I'm sitting down for 6 to 8 hours, like Ravi said, but still they're not really seeing anything change inside their business. And that's because in that 6 to 8 hours, they are checking their email, checking Slack, checking their messages, emailing back clients, organizing the way that their website looks, doing little things that aren't actually moving the needle forward, but they're comfortable and they're safe and they're secure. And so that's why your brain likes to do it, versus cutting that bullshit and focusing on, okay, what is the 1 or 2 things that I absolutely need to do today in order to move the needle forward in my business? Some examples of this could be creating a new sales letter for my company, or learning how to run Facebook ads, or it could be sending 100 outbound cold emails, or doing 200 outbound cold calls, or picking up and calling like 10 to 30 follow-ups that you had from the week or month before that. But the problem with that is all of those things have inherent rejection inside of it. What if you're not good at Facebook ads? What if you don't write a good sales letter? What if you don't know how to write a sales letter? What if your prospects reject you? What if someone sends you a cold email? What if someone says something bad when you try to cold call them? And because those things are scary, you stay away from them, and then you do the busy work of all of the other safe and secure things. So the first thing we do in order to make that 6 to 8 hours as effective as most people's entire weeks are, we need to make sure we cut the bullshit and focus on the things that are moving the needle. My second tactic for 6 to 8 hour work blocks is to lower activation energy. What I mean by that is that if you make it so hard to sit down and start working and figuring out what you're going to be working on and opening up those things, then you're likely not going to do it, because there's something called activation energy in life, which means that how hard it is to do something will determine whether you're going to do it or not. So if you are trying to work in a 6 to 8 hour block, and then you sit down on your computer in the morning and you don't even know what you're going to be working on, then that is not work yet. You have to first do the task of figuring out what you're going to work on in the first place. So you could spend 30 minutes to an hour trying to figure out what you're going to work on in the first place. And what's going to happen? You pull up Slack to decide what you need to work on. All of a sudden, someone posts a YouTube video in there. You click on it. You watch that YouTube video. Then YouTube pulls you into another video. Next thing you know, it's 2 hours later and you've really done no work. So what I like to do is the night before, I will write out 1 to 2 things, not 8 things, not 15 things, not 32 things, 1 to 2 things on a physical piece of paper that lets me know what is the exact thing I want to do as soon as I sit down at my desk at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'll give you an example. Today is going to be shooting 12 YouTube videos. So I'm shooting 12 YouTube videos today. I batch all of that. Most people don't get 12 done in a year. I do it every single month of the first weekend of the month. And the reason I'm able to do that is because I lower the activation energy as much as possible. Before my creative director even shows up here, I've already shot 3 videos because I shot it just me at my desk alone. I have all of my cameras set up and everything connected directly to my computer. So I click record, and then as soon as I'm done recording, I don't have to pull out the SIM card. I don't have to touch the mics. It can go instantly into a Google Drive, at which point my creative team takes care of it from there. So I cut all the bullshit around shooting content, which is like setting this stuff up, making sure everything works good, sounds good, looks good, and I have it all automatically ready to go. I click one button and I'm ready to rock. Another really great example of activation energy that is maybe not as prevalent as it is today as it was before is driving to work or having to work somewhere else. So I'm really fortunate and blessed that the past few years I've been growing and running a business totally online. We run an 8-figure company, all remote, 30 plus employees. Nobody's really in person except for a few people like my executive assistant, my creative director. And so for me, I get to literally wake up in the morning. I wake up at 5 a.m. and I have a cup of coffee. I do my morning routine. And then at 5:30, I walk 10 feet to my desk. I sit down, I look at the first thing I have to do on my list, and I start working at 5:30 on the first thing. Most people, they got to dress, they got to put the clothes on, they got to go drive to the car, get the car to the garage, drive in traffic, finally get to the office, say hi to Bob and Sue and Sam, and finally they sit down at their computer, boom, someone else pops in, hey, how are you doing? And the next thing they know, it's 11 o'clock and they've really done no work. So I have lowered that activation energy so much that I walk 10 feet to my office, and my 6 to 8 hours of work, if I start at 5:30, means I could literally be done at the workday by 11 or 12 12 o'clock, which actually happens kind of frequently. And then at 12 o'clock, I can decide, do I want to work longer, or do I want to get in my plane and fly down to the Keys or fly back to my hometown? And it's not because I'm lucky by any means, and it's not that I don't work on my business. It's that I'm so efficient in the way that I'm working that I get more done in that 5 to 6 hours in the morning than most people do in 7 to 10 days. Okay, so just to recap, we're talking about how you can physically work 6 to 8 hours in one sitting, right? We're cutting all the bullshit, all the stuff that doesn't actually move the needle forward, so that 6 to 8 hours is all we need on a daily basis. We're lowering the activation energy of the things that we need to do so that when we do sit down, we're not being, having to figure out what we're even doing in the first place, or it's taking so much time for us to even get set up or get started. And the third and final tip that I have for you is to remove all distractions. So I'll give you a few examples. Number one, I do not work with my iPhone in my room. I have a totally separate video that I walked through on how I've optimized my iPhone to be as productive as possible, and I'll put that link in the description down below. I recommend you check that out. But I don't even keep my iPhone in my room. That keeps you from being distracted. That's number one. Number two, like I told you before, anybody that does come to my house, such as a few of my employees or my girlfriend, they know never to come and knock on my office door when I'm working inside of there, because I don't want to start a conversation, because they know when that office door is closed, I am in my focused work. If you work in maybe 9 to 5 environment, or you're with around a bunch of people, then you should be able to put a sign on your desk that just says do not disturb, and put some headphones on, and people will not be able to walk by and start conversations with you and distract you. Another great way that I see people get distracted is on their desktop, having a bunch of notifications set up on their desktop. Maybe they optimize their iPhone, but they have Slack notifications coming in, they got email notifications coming in, they got YouTube pulled up. So you want to eliminate all of that stuff. We'll actually have my team show you really quickly what my desktop looks like as far as what the actual screen looks like. I have one folder on my desktop, and that's the only thing that you can see, and that just links to some things that I need. But other than that, there's nothing else there to distract me. So when I sit down with that one thing I need to do in the morning, I get to pull that thing up and I immediately immerse myself inside of it. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, how I'm able to work 6 to 8 hours a day and get more done in that time frame than most people do in 1 to 2 weeks. One of the things that I really want to drive home with you is that some of the best things in life, the most incredible things that will totally move the needle and transform your life, will require like 4 to 7 hours of sitting down just to get in the groove, just to get started. One of the things that I do a lot for my clients is I'll help them build sales funnels, which allows them to attract new clients at scale. And when I do that, I can't create a sales funnel in 10, 20 minutes. I usually am sitting down and I'm in that focus mode for 6 to 7 hours to actually write out that entire sales funnel, the sales letter, to shoot it, et cetera, et cetera. So almost all of the incredible things in your life will come from you being able to sit down for 6 to 8 hours and getting work done. And if we know that it takes 6 to 8 hours of focused work and you're doing stuff every 1 hour, you're switching tasks, then it will probably take you 5 to 7 days what I could do in just one sitting. If you got value out of the video, please smash the like button, comment down below and let me know, and hit subscribe. We're trying to get to 30,000 subscribers in the next 90 days. And if you are a business owner and you're potentially looking at a little more ways that I can help you grow your business and scale it so that you don't even have to work 6 to 8 hours every single day, there is the first link in the description down below where we can walk you through how we guarantee new clients for our clients on a daily basis. Like I said before, check out the video on your screen right here, which is how I set up my iPhone for productivity, and I'll see you guys in the next video.